Here's a Christmas gift idea for camera owners.
Kodak Film, a gift that'll help capture all the fun of Christmas time in pictures.
It's been a while since I've given an update on my journey to shoot a bag of expired film. I initially did a test roll of Portra 160 NC, and then I made a video about shooting a roll of Portra 800. Well, today I'm here to talk about Kodak Ektachrome E200. Ektachrome is a color slide film or reversal film, and, well, what is that? Reversal film is a specific type of film that when you process it in the E6 chemical process, it will come out as a positive rather than a negative. For most of the film's life, Ektachrome was the workhorse film stock used by Playboy, National Geographic, and NASA. Two of the most famous photos of the 20th century were both taken on Ektachrome, Earthrise on Apollo 8, and the first shot to the moon taken by Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin. It was initially developed in the 1940s, and many variations followed in the decades to come, including Ektachrome F, E100, E200, 64T, and it came in different formats like 35mm, 120, Super 8, 16mm motion picture stock, and large format sheet film. In 1978, Ektachrome 200 was introduced. The new Ektachrome 200 had significantly improved grain characteristics while offering a third stop increase in speed over the former E4 process high-speed Ektachrome, which was 160 ISO. It was said to have improved color reproduction with better separation of subtle hues of the same color. But fast forward to 2009, and Kodak announced the discontinuation of Ektachrome 64T and Ektachrome 100 Plus because of declining sales. On February 4, 2011, Ektachrome announced that it was discontinuing Ektachrome 200. And in December 2012, Kodak announced it was discontinuing Ektachrome 100D color reversal motion picture film. And finally, by late 2013, all Ektachrome products were discontinued by Kodak. And here I want to open up a section called the Fun Fact Corner. Both the 1999 film Three Kings and the 2006 film Inside Man were shot on Ektachrome. In both cases, the stock was cross-processed in C41 color-negative chemistry and subjected to a bleach bypass in order to achieve a particularly gritty look. The Ektachrome sections of Three Kings were made on custom-made rolls of Ektachrome 100 Plus, which was originally introduced as a still photography stock in 1988. The Ektachrome sections of Inside Man were shot on Ektachrome 100D 5285, introduced in 2005 as a motion picture version of the still photography stock Ektachrome EBX. Spike Lee is known for using Ektachrome for some of his iconic films like Clockers, Get on the Bus, Summer of Sam, and 25th Hour until Kodak discontinued Ektachrome in 2012. But suddenly, the Kodak gods graced us all by reintroducing Ektachrome in 2018. You can get Ektachrome E100 in 35mm, 120, 4x5, 8x10, and 16mm, all right now on B&H's website. Who knows how long it'll last, but for the time being, we're eating good. But okay, let's get back to the purpose of this video. I had a roll of Ektachrome E200 in that bag of expired film, and given that it was discontinued in 2011, we're looking at roughly 15 years of expiration. So to ensure that I was exposing it properly, and as the rule goes, for every decade that the film is expired, you overexpose by one stop. So that's what I did, and I shot the film at 100 ISO. Now, something to note is that slide film in particular craves proper exposure. You don't want to go too far over or too far under, which can be difficult when you're dealing with expired film. So I won't lie, there was another reason why I brought up Three Kings and Inside Man. Those films were all cross-processed, which means that this film could be cross-processed, which is what I did. Cross-processing is the procedure of deliberately processing film in a chemical solution intended for a different type of film. Because every chemical mixture is optimized for a specific kind of film, you'll get unpredictable results when you start combining them differently. And you might get some crazy color shifts and some wild contrast. I decided to go with cross-processing based on the recommendation from the good folks over at my local lab, Exposure Therapy. I highly encourage anyone in New York City, especially Brooklyn, to go to Exposure Therapy if you're looking to get your film developed and scanned. They're all really lovely people there, very knowledgeable, and they've helped me out a lot whenever I have questions. Before we look at some photos, I want to reiterate that I shot this film at 100 ISO instead of box speed of 200. I shot this on the Canon FTB QL, and my lab cross-processed this film in C41 chemistry instead of E6. And with all of that finally out of the way, let's look at some photos. So right off the bat, we see those wacky color shifts that I was talking about with cross-processing. Ektachrome also leans cool generally, even when processed in E6, which of course is recommended by Kodak. Color slide film has a lower dynamic range than color negative film, and when cross-processing, it tends to boost the contrast between highlights and shadows. Because of this, it's important to properly expose your photos. Otherwise, you could risk blowing out the highlights and crunching shadows to the point of information loss. After doing some digging online, I found that cross-processing slide film tends to overexpose your film in the same way that pushing it would. Therefore, you may want to consider experimenting and underexposing your film by a stop or shooting it at box speed. So this is interesting for a few reasons. The first of which is that I deliberately overexposed the film by one stop when I shot it. But that overexposure was intended to reach a normal level of exposure due to the potential degradation in the expiration process. And therefore, if by shooting the film at 100 ISO, I was essentially shooting the film at proper exposure, and then the cross-processing procedure added another stop, then I should be good. Essentially, the film should appear as though it was overexposed by about a stop instead of two. I'm not sure if that logic makes any sense, but it, that's what I'm rolling with. One of the people at Exposure Therapy did recommend that if you plan on cross-processing slide film, you may as well just shoot it at box speed. Whether or not that's intended for expired slide film as well is a little unclear to me, but my results came out fine, even though I overexposed by a stop when shooting. One thing that obviously wasn't so desirable was the effect this process had on skin tones. I have no way of knowing if these would have come out better in E6 processing, but the way Renee's skin looks in these photos is pretty wonky. And also, let me show you a peek behind the curtain and show you how the sausage is made a little bit, because it may shock you to know that this is not what I got back from the lab. This is what I got back from the lab. I did my best to reintroduce a bit of normalcy to my edited version of these photos with Renee, and across the board, I did have to do a decent amount of tinkering to remove that hazy blue cast across the images. Now, that was my personal choice. I could have left them as is and called it a day, but I felt that there was some work that I could do to sort of reel these photos back in. All in all, this roll of Ektachrome E200 turned out to be a lot more fruitful than I imagined it would be. I got a pretty fun lesson in cross-processing slide film, and also a lesson in never having expectations for what you'll get out of expired film. So far, this bag of expired film has been a pretty mixed bag. I'm hoping by the time I'm completely done with it, I'll be an expert in shooting expired film, but frankly, I'm not sure one can be. It's just frankly too unpredictable, especially when you don't know the dates of expiration or how it was stored in the time between. And this roll of E200 did get me some photos that I'm happy to share and add to my portfolio, like these right here. I really hope you got something out of this video, and I can't wait to share the next step in this expired film journey. I'm not sure what that's going to be yet, so just stay tuned. One way you could do that is by hitting the subscribe button and hitting the bell to be notified when new videos are released. You could also follow me on Instagram, and every time I put up a new video, I mention it on Instagram, and that way you could also DM me, reach out, and let me know what you'd like to see on this channel. You could also help support this channel by finding that join button, and for a few bucks a month, you could help this channel thrive into the future. And you could also help this channel thrive into the future by going to my print shop and consider ordering a print. And last but not least, I keep forgetting to mention this, but I wrote a book and I released a whole video about this book, and it's available on Amazon right now. And yeah, if you are a reader and you like novels and fiction, feel free to go check that out and see if it's something you're interested in. I'll put the link in the description. And yeah, that'll do it for this video. Let me know in the comments if you have experience shooting Ektachrome E200 or any of the Ektachrome line and what your experience was like. Also, did you cross-process or go through the E6 chemical process? And if you've done both, what are the differences? I would really love to know. Yeah, that's going to do it for me, and I'll see you all next time.